Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Thursday, April 20th. I'm just going to go ahead and say it and get it out of the way. It's 420 day. Happy 420 day, everybody. Listen, we are here this morning. We are coming up on Earth Day, which is Saturday. We not too long left Black History Month and also Women's History Month. And as I said to you, both are 365 a year. I am excited to bring this young lady back. And it's actually not her first time. For some reason, I was thinking it's her first time with us, but she was with us before, talking about a wonderful, I believe, project that they were working on in the community. There have been some updates since her last appearance. And so she's very busy, so I'm not going to keep running my mouth. I want to bring in Miss J.C. Burton of Maven Construction and also the Surge Construction Equity Project. I believe I have that right. But I'm excited to have this queen in the room. We share values. We share passion for what we do in community, and she does it on a larger, literally larger scale. And so without further ado, I would like to bring back and introduce to some and present to others J.C. Burton of Maven Construction. You all welcome her into the Java Cafe via the comments with the hearts and the hands and things like that. But J.C., we finally, in this iteration, we finally got you booked.
Yes, Jimmy, I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. It's exciting to be here this morning with you. Glad to be here.
I am excited to have you here. For those that missed your last appearance, and there were other guests, so we really couldn't go into your story. But as I said, in February, Black history is 365. Women's history is 365. And so I am so interested, JC, about your story. Tell us how you got into construction. This is your time for us to get to know you, but then also share the message. And but the accomplishments also of a Black woman in construction. And I mean, leading like a firm, and I'm ready. It's all yours. I can go off screen and just let you just do a whole bio sketch.
Jimmy, I must say the last time I was here was a great time, but this time, it's a really important to acknowledge that Boston is loving you too, right? So you are among Boston's 150 most influential people, and I'm so excited to honor you in this way and to congratulate you on such amazing work that you've been doing, not only with Java Jimmy, but 40 years of commitment to the city is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But again, this is about you this morning. So tell us your story, JC. Like, were you in school one day and sketched? What was the thing well, tell us about you first, and then we'll go into how you got into construction.
Yeah, for sure. So I was one of those kids that took everything apart in the house, tried to figure out how it worked and put it back together, right? Okay. So I was, Legos were my thing. I would take my Barbie dolls and try to figure out how they put back together. They wouldn't all go back together. But I was really that one that was super curious about how things worked. Okay. And partly I got that because my grandfather owned a TV repair and TV repair store, and actually a retail store where he sold home electronics, refrigerators, TVs, things like that. So I grew up kind of literally being in the shop, watching him take the stuff apart, and I thought I could take it apart too and put it back together. So that's where my first love of fixing things, putting things together really came from as a young girl. I got in trouble one good time when I was about 9, taking our TV apart, literally take our TV apart to see how it works, why I wanted to see why it made color, and got one of the worst whoopings in my life after I put it back together. But that cemented this idea around things do have to be put together and have to be built. So I matriculated on through college, thought I was going to go a different pathway and become a doctor. And then really, once I got into medicine, realized that I really was better at putting things together, and engineering became my love.
Hold on. So you spent some time, you were going to go into medicine?
I was, yeah.
Carry on, ma'am. I'm just like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Really super curious about learning. And so I graduated from high school at 16, and fortunately was skipped up a couple grades and during that time. And so just really, really super curious about learning and math, and those things were my favorite things. They kind of spoke to me in a way that other things did not. So it was interesting to kind of go to college at 16 and be at least 2 years younger than my peers.
Yeah.
At least, and in most cases. So went through a medical path and discovered that I wasn't really mature enough to handle medicine or pre-med at that time. So engineering became the default, and I'm glad I've been doing it ever since. I'm now 27 years in the industry.
You only look about 25, so with all due respect, I don't want to get in trouble, but you do not appear, and you do not present that you have 27 years in any industry.
I appreciate that. It's all genetics. My grandmothers and mothers have made sure that we do a lot of self-preservation, so it's all genetics. Eating clean and taking good care of ourselves whenever we can. But that taking care of yourself really does come a part of how I've been able to survive in construction for such a long time. It's not necessarily the most welcoming industry, but it is the most important industry. And we spend 80% of our time inside of a building of some kind, in a home, in a school, in a chapel, in a place of worship, in an office building, or even just in a movie theater, in entertainment spaces as well, right? So because we spend so much time in buildings, it's important that women have their thumbprint and their footprint on the spaces and places that we live in and we spend our time.
So there's so much to unpack there, and I wish I cleaned up the desk yesterday, so there's no pen and paper here, but we're going to go back, end up maybe with self-care. I just want to acknowledge a good friend of yours, partner who is in the building, Reverend Jeffrey L. Brown, is saying JC, saying hello as well. But all right, so thank you for the clarity, because for some reason I just after looking at you on Google and just seeing your digital footprint, I had presumed maybe that your entrance would have been in design. So you got into construction more from an engineering standpoint. And when you talked about, and that did not get past me, that putting things together and building things, I think for you that goes beyond the work of what you're doing. And you talked about a woman's thumbprint, and we all know that when a woman, and especially a Black woman, gets involved with something, it gets handled and a whole lot better. And so that thumbprint is definitely important. Since you got into construction, you did mention that it's hard to get in. You're a woman, and then you're a Black woman. So let's talk about, for the purpose of anyone that's watching in any space, being a Black woman, what were a couple of the challenges generally, and then with the self-preservation, how did you handle them?
Yeah, so construction has this natural cadence of being very challenging. It's really designed to test your resilience. There's a component of it that in every project there'll become a part where it's very difficult. The materials didn't show up on time. The owners made a change. There is a tremendous amount of community pressure. The labor force may not be there. All of those things will happen and do happen on construction projects every single day. And so there's this kind of coming of age sort of approach that you are put into a little bit of a pressure cooker, so that the team that you're working with understand how you're going to perform, and if you can perform under pressure. It's really kind of a natural part of the job. It can be much more difficult. It is much more difficult for women, and much more difficult for people of color, and especially for women of color that are working in the industry. We kind of get hit around, so to speak, in a bunch of different ways that make it super challenging for us. However, I've often found and know by my own experience that it is the people that have a different point of view or different perspective are bringing the solutions and ideas to these construction projects that others may not necessarily think about. And so my pathway out of it is that, one, I was extremely studious. So there's not a product that I've actually worked on as a product engineer all the way becoming a construction manager when I worked for another large company that I did not know the building better than anybody else. I knew the drawings. I knew what the intent of the drawings was. Every single page, I understood what was happening, what the intent. I made sure that the engineers and the architects had clarity on what they were trying to envision and also what was important to the owner. So I took those three components and made sure that I was a resource on the products that I worked on. And therefore, since I had so much knowledge, it'd be very difficult for someone to challenge me about the work that I was doing in a way that could knock me kind of off my game, so to speak. And that was the formation or foundation of me really being successful on all the products that I've been on. And fortunately, I've had a chance to work on Olympic-related projects in the United States. I've had a chance to work on a high-speed rail project out in California. So the work that I've done has allowed me to have an amazing career, not only here, what I'm doing in Boston, but all across the United States.
So I'm sitting here again. I feed off of your response, and there is just so many different ways that we can go. And so I did hear something away from, again, the construction, but sort of like a nugget, as they used to call it back in the day when preachers were teaching a nugget. And so you talked about being able to bounce back and respond when the supplies don't show up. The other thing I heard was that you are a student and were a student of every project. So we have to apply ourselves. And as shout out to Natasha White and others from the team that may be on, a little more application in some things. I'm saying ouch for myself for some things I could maybe excel a little bit more or quicker. So I heard those two lessons. Be prepared for the sort of unknown. What doesn't come, how are you going to maybe make up or hold on until it gets there? And then also know the game, know every component in and out of, and in your case, you said, what the designer wanted and what was the intent. And so that is definitely important because we have to, in different spaces, we have to sometimes put, and I don't know if that's really extra, just generally applying ourselves. I don't know if that's extra, but sometimes because of systems and structures, we do have to, let's say it like this, when people may come and try to knock you off your game, you got to be well prepared. And it definitely sounds like you are. What are some projects that we would not know that you were involved in locally, nationally? Like, go ahead and brag on yourself just a little bit, and we can give you flowers while you can smell them.
Right. Well, one, I want to kind of capture something else that you said that's really important, because I think construction is really an economic equalizer, right? I've come in my story and telling you about how I got here was through going to a university out in California and kind of mastering that pathway, and then finding myself in a role where I really, really did love, again, being able to build things. But construction in itself has many different pathways to get there, right? You can come right out of high school and walk into an apprentice program. You can spend years in a non-related construction field and find your way into construction. You can go to school to be an engineer. There's lots of different pathways for it. And so even though my pathway was unique in that I was pre-med and then found myself really wanting to be in love with building things, that was not necessarily the definition of most people that are working in construction. And so I guess the component of that is, even in any role that you're in or even pathway in, if you are applying yourself and being a student of the building or of the trade that you're working in, then the sky is the limit, right? The sky is undoubtedly yours. Know that you will face some obstacles, but they can be overcome. And then once you master the game, as you've so clearly identified, Jimmy, or master a building, then you give kind of cadence to your own voice. You give pathway and leeway to your own voice, because then you can say, hey, I know and understand what this building is trying to become, and I can offer a solution, or I can offer a pathway to get this done. And that is what has sustained me in my career for such a long time. some of the projects that I've worked on the Olympic stadiums down in Atlanta. I spent a lot of time in Atlanta before I moved here to Boston. Worked on Mercedes-Benz, Atlanta Falcons Stadium that is there, that's notable as well.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, high-speed rail project is out in California. And I've worked on college campuses that are always the most interesting and most fun to me, so everywhere from North Carolina A&T, which is NHBCU down in North Carolina, to UNC Chapel Hill and Duke, and then pursuing projects here with some higher ed universities as well. So super excited about the work that I have done, but most importantly, I'm most proud of being able to work with partners like Reverend Brown, who are really trying to transform what participation and equity looks like in construction here in Boston. So I'm bringing some stuff that I've done other places and really getting an opportunity to bring people along with me, and then also show the market that there is a more inclusive way to build.
And that JC is that inclusivity is in 2020 post George Floyd, we had a lot of movement around DEI and whatnot, and those 65% of those positions now are like gone or reallocated. And so let's talk a little bit about your intentionality with Surge. What does what does that stand for? And then what is your ultimate dream with Surge?
Yeah, so I have been a construction owner for 15 years. I own my own business for 15 years. And prior to that, I worked for a very large company that was acquired. They did about $1 billion worth of work when I worked for them. And in every case, in every place, I have been the only Black woman, the only woman, the only Black person on the projects that I've worked on, or very few. Throughout that growth or that trajectory where I was able to manage projects as a whole, what I was very intentional about, even very, very young, it started off my career, was making sure I was giving opportunity to Black-owned businesses, to female-led businesses, to Latinx-owned businesses, even Asian American-owned businesses, because they would not have necessarily have gotten an opportunity, or no one would see them, right? So I wanted to acknowledge that I see them, and I wanted to give them an opportunity. And since I worked for such a large company, anytime that I'd given them a contract, it really kind of propelled them to grow into a different lane and actually scale their businesses up. So my story comes from that I was actually mentored by Herman Russell. He had one of the largest Black-owned general construction companies based in Atlanta. At the time, he was a personal mentor of mine. He mentored me alongside of many people, but most oftentimes with his own sons and his daughter. So I had a kind of like a front seat view as to what it would be to grow a company and grow a business. And when he passed away, I guess it's 7 years ago now, I took my daughter to his services. I sat in the church pew and I counted more than 35 businesses that had started from people that were working with him, that had worked for him, had worked with him at his firm. And it was at that moment that I realized, oh, I'm really supposed to be doing something different. I am building, but I'm supposed to be ushering in a new generation that has much larger impact than what I'm able to accomplish on my own. I didn't have the answers to how to do that at the time, 7 years ago, but it was very clear what my mission needed to be. And about 5 years ago, when I first moved here, I started talking about this idea of having an accelerator or an incubator for construction companies. Boston has some of the most important and amazing buildings in the country, right? Both with our history of old buildings that were built by enslaved hands, to the new buildings that are transformational and what they're doing inside of them, from lab spaces. So we have the most amazing architecture and story around the built environment. Yet there is a huge gap between people of color working in significant positions in these buildings and the majority of people that live here in Boston. And so I started talking about this idea of being able to invest in established businesses, established construction companies, surround them with good management, and then pour into them sometimes a little bit of capital with money, give them access, but then give them operational support, right? Construction is a business of being able to have an entire team, figure out a plan for a project before you're even awarded the project. So oftentimes we don't have the resources to hire all the individual per people that are on a project before we get a chance to work on that. So
Amen. Sorry.
yeah, no, we're under resourced, right? We're under resourced in every single thing that we do. It's a challenge. Here, it's a challenge everywhere. It's a challenge for all construction companies specifically that are started by people of color, unless you have a rich uncle, right? That says, here's a few $1 million and here's a way that you can make a lot of money. And that just doesn't happen for folks that look like me, look like you,
Yep.
and others here in the space. So Surge is that. Surge is an accelerator that partners with construction companies, provides them a set of resources that they would not have. Everything from estimators to people that can design, that can work on schedule, to technology. We surround you with good operational staff to make sure your safety plans are in place, that you've got a good pathway to manage your team, and that good customer service with your clients, and then give them access to capital through a revolving loan fund. So it's a wonderful kind of place or gathering spot that will eventually have a physical space. Right now it's virtual, but we are designed to kind of help construction companies, specifically BIPOC-led construction companies here in Boston.
That is one, not surprising, because I heard when you had that epitome at the service, that you basically carrying on that spirit of creating, maybe 350 businesses out of what you're working with. And so we need to name and recognize that though you're building the physical structures, you're also you're what we call, I mean, again, larger scale, but social entrepreneur, because you're entrepreneurial, but then there's the sort of give back, bringing others along, lift as you climb, my sister's keeper, all of that resonates from you. There's a couple of folks that are in the construction field and not at the level that you are. They are journey women, and doing different things, but you are definitely inspiring a lot of folks. There's someone else in here that needs a whole building built for all the wonderful Amazon stuff they got in their room, but we'll talk about that later. But it is just so inspiring, JC, to hear from you. And let's keep it 100. By my perception, you're doing pretty good, well off and whatnot, but there's a humility and a sincerity that comes from you. And you talked about being grounded in self-preservation and what you picked up from your parents. Let's talk a little bit about that as far as JC. Like, I know there were times you walked into those rooms or beforehand and had to maybe shore yourself up, fortify yourself, work your black girl magic. Like, what was it like for you on a personal / professional level, accomplishing those goals and walking into the room? I got a chance to hear Pinky Cole last week from Slutty Vegan, which you was in Atlanta, so you know, and keep your eyes open, because I heard she may be coming up here, so she might need a building.
We're gonna build it out for her.
But she talked about, and this was a woman saying this, so I'm comfortable saying this. She said every room that she walked in, she owned it. She was intentional about her perfume, about her hair and everything, because it is very interesting for you as a Black woman. Tell us about some of those experiences to where you may have went in one way, but came out and was like, I did this.
Yeah, well, my testimony of resilience really does go back to my parents. My parents were activists, right? They were activists. And so I had no choice but to be unafraid in the rooms that I'm in. Doesn't matter the room, doesn't matter the place or the space. I don't know how to walk in fear. And so that was really the kind of the baseline of me being in spaces that may not have been as accepting to me. I think construction along the way, depending on the role that I was playing, I would show up in those rooms differently. But I always knew that people were watching me. They're waiting for my success or my failure, for my mistakes, or for my mastery. They were constantly waiting for me to see what I was doing. So at some point when I realized that, which was very early on, then I tried to make sure I could exert my power in some ways to achieve great things. And that could just be by a suggestion of utilizing a different type of material or doing a different pathway, resequencing work. I was unafraid to ask those questions. But I had a couple good mentors. I had one great mentor that a man that was 30 years my senior that took me under his wing and made sure that I understood building and construction, make sure that I developed really good habits on project sites that I was working on so that I could understand the business in a way that was not just from reading the drawings, as I mentioned to you earlier, and being able to master that part, but really did understand the manpower and connect with the people they were building it, right? There's sometimes as a woman you could be unafraid or you could be afraid to just kind of stay in the office or stay in the trailers or stay hidden, but I would engage them. I speak fluent Spanish. I would engage them in conversation when they were Latin. I could understood. I've lived a couple years in Ghana, West Africa, so I understood when there were gentlemen and men coming from the continent that they were when they were working construction. Even those that are Haitian, I kind of understand their pathways because I've spent some time outside the country. So I would have conversations and understand what it was like for them, and always provide shelter to the women. They were on projects. I remember having a very heated discussion with a superintendent that was upset because I let all the women that are on site come into the trailer to use the restrooms, right? These are women that are working in trades. And you'll hear stories about them. I know you talked about journeywomen earlier, but something as simple as being able to use the restroom is very different on a construction site for women than it is for men. And every time I was on a project site, it's something super simple, but I was able to humanize the women and say, hey, you got to come in here and use the bathroom. And it would have discussions, would advocate for them in that way. It's such a small thing, but would advocate in that way. So I built kind of a community of people that were excited to work on the projects I was on, just because they knew that they were going to get a fair shot and a good opportunity to show what they were all about.
This is just there's so many nuggets to pull from here. I mean, people are in Kendra, who is a small business owner. If you ever need any Maven construction or Surge cookies or whatever done, she's wonderful here. I don't know how to walk in fear. Woo, that's amazing. I needed to hear that. Pastor Marion is saying engagement lessons in the intimidation. My goodness. And then Kelly, who's also in construction. Yes, because those Kelly's on, she's on the site. She says, yes, those porta potties are disgusting. Bathroom is best for. And so having a bathroom for us women on the sites are a plus, but we never get that lucky. And so even when you're in spaces changing the philosophy, but then also when you're literally in spaces, and it's so weird and just a shame that you have to say that you have to humanize the women. That should be just automatic. And even for the brothers that are there, they should have clean, facilities to, do what they need to do themselves. So JC, I'm leaving inspired.
I see that this is my role. Like I see that this is part of the conversation, right? I think that, I've had the fortunate opportunity to be here and testify with the state around childcare. And if you're a woman on a construction site with a family, being able to have childcare where you can drop your child off at 5 o'clock in the morning so you can get to work by 6. Like our hours are really early. People are mobilized on a site by 6 a.m. If you're a woman or even any parent, but really specifically for women, able to drop your child somewhere by 5 to get to work by 6 in a safe space is super important. And that starts from infancy all the way through to elementary school, right? Where can they go before they can get there? These are some solutions that we still need to think about around being inclusive. We know that in the spaces that we're in the communities that are here in Boston, we don't have a chance to have a lot of grandparents that can help out. We have people that are multi-generations that are living in one home that may all be working, trying to support the family. So we have to be more intentional about thinking around solutions when there's a city and a commonwealth that does so well economically. We have to spend time in providing these social solutions, as you've kind of coined them earlier.
I'm so inspired, and I agree with Reverend Brown. We are blessed to have you here. Kelly is also updating us. We have childcare for us now. Also, the Women Build Boston has helped us with a lot of resources now. So I'm sure your footprint is in that as well. And also, Teresa is saying the construction industry is not easy for Black women in terms of being taken seriously. I was the lead project manager specializing in technology for a major construction company years ago, and I was always made sure to let my confidence exude through my knowledge of the industry. And so it's interesting because there's the balance of knowing your stuff, but the extra exertion often of having to prove that you do is just sometimes tiresome. It you know, but you're even when you're saying it is, you're saying it with a smile. And so maybe let's wrap up with, how do you take care of JC? Because I mean, you have an engineering entrepreneurial brain that moves in construction. And I think that my brain never turns off. How do you turn off? How do you self-care? Because that's a whole different dynamic of the details and the math and the inches and centimeters and the weight of the concrete. And how do you do it?
Yeah, it is. Well, the proving yourself never ends. It never ends on construction. It's just going to be that way for a while till we have more people in the industry. So continue to press on, right? This is not the beginning. It's not the end. It's just we're in the middle of the game, and so you keep going, play it all the way through. The part that is really interesting to me, even last year, I was helping out on a project. I do work not only here in Boston but also in the Mid Atlantic and the Southeast. I still have a larger footprint. During the pandemic, we had projects that stopped here because construction was not deemed essential, and so I moved a good chunk of my team down to the Mid Atlantic where those states thought it was essential, and so we have a larger office there than what I want us to have. I want us to have a satellite, but this works. So I went down to help out on a project, and an owner of a project actually told me, a white male. Now I'm 27 years experience. I'm helping out on the project because there's some little bit of confusing. And he said to me, "I'm going to teach you how to talk to me." Right? This is just, I don't know, November of 2022. Right? So I thought, clearly he does not have the privilege to ever talk to me again. Right? He clearly misunderstood his role in the conversation and what we're supposed to be providing to owners, trying to provide a solution on something that was not our issue, but we were trying to help. And so I think that women and all people should know that those tough conversations will continue to happen until there is more, equity in the industry. But don't be afraid with them, and so be true to yourself. So my version of self-care is one around doing things around Mother Earth. We talked about this weekend being Earth Day. Yep. And I spend a lot of time planting trees, taking care of plants. Like that for me is a very calming and soothing space. And then a lot of massage. I believe in the power of healing through massage. Yep. And that those two things in itself, coupled with spending time with my daughter, who I think is the most important person, in my life, are the three things that I do to just keep me really, really balanced and connected to the work and giving me an ultimate, a larger purpose.
One of my telltale signs of a wonderful interview is that I'm tired. The virtue. When the virtue leaves it, no, I'm messing. But there was so much that exuded out of you today. And I know the folks are watching, are being inspired, and there are lessons and nuggets that you talked about through your journey and testimony in this industry and it being Thankful Thursday that are applicable beyond construction, that are life lessons. And so I see you somewhere, more than a construction. You need to be in not need to be, I'm sorry, some sort of TED Talk, masterclass, life coaching, something, because I know that not only the women, but folks that are watching today are being inspired by you being transparent, passionate, real about your journey. I am a little curious because you kind of just told us what he said, but you didn't give us your full response when this man said he's going to teach you how to talk to him. Oh, Jesus. I know that that was you're owning the room in that moment. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall because you seem like the type that can cut you with a smile and you walk away talking about where's the Band-Aid. So Jason.
Yeah. 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 I think over the years I've had to do lots of different things, right? I being a woman on the site, I haven't shied away from having a knockdown, drag out argument about something on the project, right? Because I knew my pathway. It's not necessarily about being right, but certainly standing your ground.
Yep.
Two, being very, at this point in my career, I'm not necessarily going to be on the site every day, but I certainly applaud and support and breathe air and energy into everybody that works with me or alongside me. But I certainly had in that moment thought, this guy has no clue who he's talking to. Like he has no idea. And so I don't even need to give him any more energy. Like it just, he just lost opportunity to talk to me. So, but karma comes back around. He's still having trouble with the issue.
Here in April, he's still having
6 months later, still having trouble. And so, and that's not a testament to us. That's just, I probably could have helped him out if he would have had a different pathway. So karma does, I believe in karma that happens. And so it'll all work itself out in that particular scenario. And I don't spend a lot of energy trying to think about what I could do to guide it. I think what I feel most excited about are the projects that we're bringing to community, the P3 project we're working on in New Square, right? And also a lab building that I'm doing with Ginkgo Bioworks that's in the Seaport. I mean, these are projects that have different type of owners, that have different type of partners that are being more inclusive, that want to see people of color in the space to be part of the economy. And we will have, as Maven, we'll have some bumps along the way, just in growing pains. We've just had some that we've overcome in trying to provide some support to our team members that didn't go the way that we wanted to go, and so we're still working. But certainly in this particular component and post George Floyd, the intentionality around folks wanting to be more inclusive seems to be clear. You can pick out the ones that don't really early on. They kind of stick out like more than a needle in the haystack. They are almost shining, and you can see when you don't want that. So that's very different from how construction used to be when I was younger. So to all the people that are still watching, just pay attention to the folks that are around you. You can figure out who your advocates are and who folks that may be challenging you pretty easily on if you pay attention.
Okay. There's really did we miss anything? Is there anything that you want to share?
There's only one thing I want to say from a point of inspiration and looking at, we look future forward in this industry, right? I am so excited about the future of construction, both in its pathways to bring more technology to the field, that I want more people of color, women, people from LGBTQ backgrounds to embrace this industry, to make sure that you walk in your own self-truth, and also know that this industry is for you, right? It is you too have a place and a space. I know that this weekend we'll celebrate Earth Day and the amount of work that we need to do to make sure that we can repair the earth and repair some of the things we're doing, with even doing electrical charging stations to wastewater treatment facilities and berms that we need and seawalls that we need to protect ourselves, are so intended to be for a more inclusive community and a inclusive workforce. So I'm so excited to make sure that we can have more people, join the industry.
We can take the offering, give the benefits. Give the altar call.
They should stay in contact, right? Go to info@thissurge.com to get more information about the accelerator.
Say it again, JC. I'm sorry. We do graphics in real time. Info
at the Surge, and the Surge is SRGE.com, and that will keep you kind of connected. We have a website that's a landing page that'll be populated with more information about companies that want to be involved in our accelerator. And then also we're kind of growing a database of just people and individuals that want to make sure that they can be matched up with companies that share the values that we're all talking about. And there's lots of them here. So we're working on a separate kind of initiative that's all about workforce and I've got some more stuff that I'll be doing with that. But in the meantime, if folks want to get in contact with me, again, it's info@mavenbuild, MAVENBLD.com, and I'm happy to share some words of wisdom. You've given me a challenge, Jimmy. You said that I should be doing a TED Talk, and a few people have said that, so I may have to take you up on that. I'm gonna start working on it.
And I did not know that. And so there's an affirmation for you. I want to make sure I have. So this is to keep up to date with what's going on with the Surge and the Equity Accelerator.
Yeah.
And this is the email. Did I have it right to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Maven.
It says Maven BLD. We take out the U and the I. It says Maven
BLD. Okay.
Yep. .com. Yep. Those are the two places that folks can always reach me. I know I can say that it's really hard for me to mentor people one-on-one, but I'm trying to work on a place that I can be more supportive of the entire ecosystem, especially women. So we'll be doing more with women in the trades in the future, and then also just kind of through the Surge, working through with helping with workforce development.
Okay. I'm excited about what's to come. And I know about the P3, Tom, Rev Brown, and Amari, and all of them who are partners with Embrace. I'm excited. Anytime you want to come back, feel you need to come back, when you get ready to launch your TED Talk or your women's breakfast or whatever it is that you're getting ready to do. And if you don't do it, we'll be getting you an invite. We'll do it, and then just have you come in and just speak, and then you can leave. And then, there's a video going around of some preacher doing something. He says what he needs to say, drops the mic, and walks out. You can even do that. Listen, because there's we folks like I'll be honest. One thing about yesterday and this 150 most influential, it made me very pensive and going right to impact. And folks like you and I have to do better, and I'm doing better at embracing impact that we may not recognize right in the beginning. And I know that people are walking away today, even in the afterwatch, that are going to walk away and be like, excuse the vernacular, damn, like all that she did is inspiring, but there were nuggets in there that people, if they're really listening, should be able to walk away that are applicable outside of construction, just in life in general. And so this was good. I got a challenging couple of months, and good things, just busy. And you've helped me kind of like, okay, Jimmy, map it out, get it together, know everything, study up on the partners and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you for increasing my workload.
That's right. Well, have no fear when you're in the room, right? I mean, have no fear, right? It is prepare and then have no fear. It makes it really easy that way.
Prepare. Somebody type that in the comments. Prepare and have no fear, along with the other one that, what did you say? I don't walk in anywhere in fear. I don't know how to walk in fear.
Yeah. I don't know how to walk in a room in fear. I don't know how to. I just don't. I think that there are, I can walk into a room and know and understand that I may not be accepted. I can walk into a room and know that I may be challenged, but in no cases I've not built to have fear. I'll tell you something that I don't share with many. My name is actually a take on a West African term that means first female warrior. And so Jakol is a take on Yoruba, Jakotare, which actually means first female warrior. And so in that, sometimes I shape my name, and sometimes my name certainly shapes me, but I don't know how to walk in fear. I think that the name was given to me appropriately, so that I can provide place and space for an entire village, and a village of women and people of color that are not only working in construction, but even in the design and the engineering side of our field. It's so super exciting to be among an ecosystem of folks that are, just extraordinary.
So I already told you I was tired. Now you're just going to come and just throw the white sheet on me and just let me sleep. Jesus. Okay. We could be here for a whole nother hour. I cannot wait to get you in a physical space with a couple of other sisters. And the women have been asking for their own sort of Java After Dark. We haven't mapped it out yet. And so I'm sure Heidi and Dr. Brandy, I'm going to suggest to you to them that maybe you be one of the speakers at this.
Oh, thank you.
And so, oh my goodness. All right. with all due respect, you got to get off my screen because we could stay here another half an hour. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for what you're doing in community, because you're having generational impact. Because who knows what out of your business, what young woman that's 18 now that comes up under your wing and goes out in 20 years, she's in a multi-billion-dollar business. Like, you just don't know. You just don't know. So, and I felt my shoulders go up. So with that, definitely get off my screen because we'll be in a whole different place. And so, JC, thank you so much. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Have a great day. Great week.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Okay. Oh, all right, y'all. Y'all watch out for her. All right. Today's Thursday. Today's my Friday. So we will not see you until Monday morning at 9 a.m. And I got to figure something out with the schedule because Dr. Brandy is scheduled to come back, but somehow a date got given to someone else, and my fault, but we'll let you know what's going on Monday. JC listen. Oh God, y'all are in on the comments. I love you too, Ma. Teresa said again, you don't have the privilege to ever talk to me again. Going on a t-shirt today. Listen, Evelyn, I will make sure we get you the information. You need to be speaking as well. I wish JC was still on so she could see this. Hey, Eliza, prepare and have no fear. Listen. And Natasha made sure we had the information here. Thank you so much. Oh, LinkedIn comments are coming on today. We got folks watching on LinkedIn. All right, you guys, that's it for me. Please don't forget, we have quite a few things coming up in the next couple of months. Don't forget, most importantly, why didn't the comments still up there? Let me take that off. All right, so here we go. Saturday, May 20th, a month, 30 days. Oh, Jesus, I got a month to pull this off. 30 days from today. I see you, Miss Teresa. 30 days from today, we are having the Java with Jimmy Health Fair that will take place on Saturday, May 20th at the Delma Burns Building, 575 Warren Street, 11 to 3 p.m. We will have prizes, refreshments. You will be able to ask the professionals about your health, cancer-related questions. The MGH community van will be there, and the health fair will also feature a panel around health equity. And I am also trying to figure out how we're going to have maybe a local performer there as well. So we got some great things planned for you. Don't forget this Saturday, I don't have the flyer queued up, but you can go on my page. I've shared it on my personal page. And also, I think on Java with Jimmy, there is the Connect event that is taking place this Saturday as well. I'm popping in Evelyn there. And speaking of Evelyn, y'all, I had my first official production meeting for some other things that we've mentioned before. And so that happened this week. I also, some of you all saw the post about the opportunity I have for 12 young people to be a part of a program where they'll receive a $500 stipend to help me design a campaign around the impact of COVID and wellness for them, for young people. And so that is coming out very soon. I had a contract call yesterday and got some questions answered because there's a time frame in which they would like this to get done. And so anyway, so look out for that information to drop soon with the application. And I think that is it. Don't forget, on June 21st, we have Java with Jimmy on the waterfront that will be taking place over in we had a call yesterday and they told me, I said, can I say? And they were like, I mean, immediately, they didn't skip the beat. They were like, nope, not yet. So I can't give out all the details yet, but trust me, as soon as I get permission, I'll let you all know where it's going to be and all of that. I can tell you now, it's a 5-hour event from 3 to 8. So plan on, if you can, those that get off of work early, plan on coming. There'll be family fun activities, and then we're going to have a cookout, and there'll be food trucks there, and it's going to be an awesome event on June 21st. All right. That's it for me, everyone. Happy Friday. You know, the state and some of these folks are examining the impact of a 4-day work week. I can tell you all that it works. So that's my plug for a 4-day work week. Miss Teresa, I know the logos. I just, once I get off of here, I don't be trying to be in this office. That's a whole nother Zoom in itself. But all right, folks, I'm out of here. We'll see you on Monday at 9 a.m. Have a great weekend. Remember, Saturday is Earth Day. JC talked about it. Start thinking about habits that you can do daily to take care of the earth. All right. That's it for me. We will see you guys Monday morning, bright